Hi, everyone. It's me, Karri. I'm here doing your presentation for this week. You're going to be so sick of me, but I'm looking forward to doing this with you, and I'm really looking forward to having our conversation on November 10th when we all get together. So I'm going to get started. I'm just going to share my screen here, and we'll get going. So today we're going to be talking about working on the big picture. That's working on your business instead of working in the business. I know it's hard to work on the business. There's so many things to do, but it's important as business owners to spend some time working on that big picture. Why is your business in place and how can you make the most out of it? Before I get started, I want to acknowledge that I am in Saskatoon on Treaty 6 territory, the traditional meeting grounds, gathering place, and traveling route of the Cree, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Métis, Dene, and Nakota Sioux. I acknowledge all of the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit who have lived in and cared for these lands for centuries and whose presence continues to enrich our community. So today we're going to be talking about the idea of working on your business. So our goals are the journey to achieving that your business strategy begins with a vision and a commitment to a value agenda. As a startup, your strategy helped you launch your business. And now that your business is working towards growth, your next step includes refinement of your goals and considering the lessons learned along the way. Our outcome for today is to create a strategy map that delivers clarity on 3 fronts. First one is where your business is going. Second, how you create value. And third, how you are going to get there. So where is your business going? I like to use this. This is something I created out of some research that came about with regard to business purpose. And it was research that was done by PwC and published in the Harvard Business Review a couple of years ago. This combined with a few other pieces of information that I have, I put together to come up with how you can come up with your value proposition. And especially in a time where you've had a business in place for some time, maybe some things have happened, and now you want to revisit your value proposition to see if it's still valid and how it can be enhanced. So the first step is to get clear on your value proposition. Ask yourself these questions. How is our business relevant to our customers? So being relevant is key. Otherwise, it's hard to make that sale. How are we unique in the marketplace? That's the competitor's question. How are we doing it better? And how does this make us the right business, or what makes us the right business to offer this product or service? So again, wanting to make sure that this is, again, customer focused, our value proposition to our customers, but also inherent to our strengths and our abilities as an organization. So again, asking the question, are we relevant, unique, and what makes us the right business? So once you've answered those questions, the next step is to revisit your market and operating strategy. Again, those answers might be the same as they were before, and that's totally fine. Or they may have changed. On top of that, we need to know, how has the market changed? And how are we still able to deliver on that value proposition that we have and the market that's there? So the questions we ask are, how have our target customers' needs changed? How have our competitors changed their business? So are we still the unique one in the market? And do we still have the capabilities to deliver on our product and service more effectively than our competitors? You may actually have gathered more skills and unique capabilities, and you want to inventory them here. The last part is to redefine your value proposition and your operations based on the answers to those last questions, as well as the following. Identifying the key capabilities required for your business to have the most impact on your customers' needs. So what are those key capabilities that are really going to have that impact? Second, invest more of your time and money than your competitors into those key capabilities. This is how you're going to set yourself apart and get ahead. And finally, make the hard decisions on spending allocations. You probably can't keep everything that you're still doing, or assuming that your market maybe is liking what you're doing, you want to maybe see where you can enhance. Again, business is about a bunch of trial and error. And in this case, we want to, when we're noticing if something isn't working right, it's a good idea to really make those hard decisions and make the changes that are necessary for your business to thrive. So here's an example from an experience that I had with a company that I ran. So I ran a geological consulting company for about 10 years, and we offered premium specialized expertise to potash companies worldwide. So our client market was potash companies worldwide and geology anywhere in Saskatchewan. So we knew Saskatchewan top to bottom, and we knew potash no matter where it was in the world. So those were our two areas of service, or geographical areas of service with our niche market. The current value proposition that we had, okay, what made us relevant? Our clients need independent or specific geological advice. We were writing technical reports for clients so that they could get investors. And so, it needed to be high quality work for them to be able to attract many millions or even billions of dollars of investment. So that's why our geological advice was relevant to our customers. We were unique. Being based in Saskatchewan, which is one of the best potash jurisdictions of the world, we were able to take that knowledge and apply it globally. There's a lot of potash mines here, and any other place that would be looking at building a potash mine would like to know how they did it. And so we knew a little bit about that, and we're out there sharing it as part of our unique capabilities that we were able to bring to our customers. And finally, again, our capabilities, we had that experience with the best potash deposits in the world where mines were financed and built. We were cost competitive in Saskatchewan due to the proximity of projects. So these are for not just the potash projects, but also the other commodities that were based in Saskatchewan. Even if we didn't have, with the exception of potash, where we did have world-class expertise, even if we didn't have world-class expertise in a particular commodity, because we were located in Saskatchewan, we had a geographical advantage and made us a bit more low cost, even if we didn't necessarily have the highest quality of expertise. So that gave us an opportunity to showcase our capabilities as geoscientists. And sometimes that would give us a bit of a loss leader opportunity there to get in with some clients, show them what we were capable of, and then increase our skill set by working with them. So this is what we did for, well, the business had been in business for about 25 years, and then commodity prices dropped, and they dropped hard. And, as you're probably very well aware, commodity prices are very cyclical. And when they drop really hard, and it's basically like falling off a cliff. I think if you haven't been in a commodities business, which I think most of you have not, it would be very similar to what happened in COVID, where everything just stopped. So what did we do? Well, we had to revisit our strategy. We wanted to stay in business. And so what we had to do was to look at how our customers' needs had changed. What we noticed was that our customers were having difficulty raising capital for exploration. Mining projects were moving past the exploration stage, so they weren't needing us as geoscientists as much. But once they kind of got into, that existing mine area, they would often run into unique problems. So something that they would encounter that would make it where they would need some specialized expertise in order to solve a problem. And it was usually being able to help them get back to getting full production. These mines are huge, so they will pay big dollars for us to help them improve their productivity and their production rates, and thereby increasing their revenue. So that was something that we wanted to make sure that we were able to provide value for. We also noticed that our customers were moving to a procurement model. So basically it was less relationship based. It was more like we were responding to RFPs. So it was a request for proposal, if you're not familiar with RFPs. Very impersonal process. It's like kind of filling out the form, making sure that you've got it right. And that was a little bit different than what we were used to. We were kind of used to our niche capabilities being able to get us sole sourced work. It wasn't that that way anymore, especially if we were moving into more of these advanced projects. Our competitors changed. Our competitors were offering more engineering and general contracting services that made procurement easier for clients. So they were taking on basically a larger scope of a project so that the client only had to do a contract with one company, as opposed to many little companies. And our customers were really starting to enjoy that model. That was not necessarily our capability. So we looked at that as something that we needed to be able to do. Again, we thought we had an advantage because our competitors just also did not have that very specialized expertise that we had. When it came to changing our capabilities, we decided that we wanted to continue to focus on our specialized expertise. We weren't big, we weren't cost competitive in terms of, having low cost talent all over the globe that we could draw on. But we wanted to also expand our engineering services to include general contractor capabilities. So when we redefined our value proposition, what we decided to focus on was that we wanted to solve specialized geological and engineering challenges with a full service team for potash clients worldwide. So not only were we maintaining our specialized expertise, but we were now operating as the role of the general contractor. Not only would we go in there and tell them what the problem was and how it needed to be solved, we needed to bring in all of the services that came with us that were capable of actually continuing on to solve the problem. So it did become kind of a procurement general contractor model. And let's see how that worked. So one of the things we needed to do was to redefine our operations. So we said, okay, the key capabilities that were required were specialist geologists, which we had. We needed the related engineering expertise, which we may or may not have had. And we also needed to have general contractor services. So we needed to be able to manage big contracts, multiple subcontractors, and so on. The investment that we needed to do when we noticed that we had that gap in capabilities was that we needed to hire and or partner with engineers who had that expertise. So either if we thought there was enough work for us to hire someone directly, we would do that. If we felt like that there was very specialized areas of engineering expertise that were critical, but we didn't use that very often, we would partner with people that we trusted that also provided that very high level specialist expertise. We wanted to maintain our brand as people who knew what we were talking about, and our partners needed to be in that model as well. We hired and we trained a general contractor, so someone who knew how to manage projects, workflows, again, subcontractors, managing reporting to clients and so on. And we had to overhaul our cash flow model to handle procurement. Now we were moving millions and millions of dollars through our financial statements or through our bank account every month, as opposed to hundreds of thousands. So it was a lot different model. And as a result, we took on a lot more risk. The way that we managed that risk was to make sure that we had the legal documents to handle that general contracting. So protecting ourselves from things like non-payment, from things like the liability that goes with it. We had to increase our insurance, all of those things. It all had to align with this new strategy in order to be able to offer it to our customers, because we wanted to do it well, and we wanted to do it in a way that didn't increase our risk to the point where we were putting the company in a great deal of jeopardy. Some of the hard decisions that we had to make was we had to let go of staff who did not have specialist knowledge. We were finding that customers just weren't that interested in hiring us to do kind of general geoscience work. They wanted the high value specialist expertise knowledge. And so it was getting harder and harder to find work for the people who did not have that specialist knowledge or weren't necessarily in the pipeline to gain that specialist knowledge. So we did have to let go of that. We also let go of those clients who did not require specialist expertise, those loss leaders. We got rid of those because really there just wasn't any potential for us to recover those losses that we had. So it was important for us to bid them farewell. And in some cases, they even just took on the staff that we had seconded to them, and it was just fine. We had a core lab where we would do the processing of our geology of our core, which is critical to our work. But because we weren't doing as much drilling, there wasn't really as much need for us to keep all of that around. So we ended up doing just short-term lease space. We closed our permanent core lab and we just would do short-term lease space as we needed to do that core processing. And finally, we reduced office space. Of course, we reduced staff. So then we also didn't need as much office space. So we did that. The key is making sure that everything was aligned. Once we honed in on what our strategy was and what key capabilities we needed to be able to deliver on that strategy, everything else had to fall into place. Again, making sure our risks were covered, making sure that we didn't have unnecessary costs that didn't align with the strategy, and partnering with groups wherever we could to make sure that we weren't overextended on things that just weren't going to bring us a lot of value. So we had to get very specific about what we needed and then align appropriately. Again, this was a downturn that we thought, commodity cycles they tend to go down for quite a long time. And so we needed to adjust and prepare for what would be this next cycle, which often could last years, and it did. What was the result? So, okay, the year that the commodity prices dropped, we lost money. The second year, when we did our restructuring, we lost less money. But the third year, we ended up having our fourth highest profit in our 38-year history. And it was still a market downturn. So this is, I guess, a story that I want to share with you, because this is why it is so key to get very clear on what your value proposition is, how it serves your clients, and what specifically you need to do or not do in order to be able to deliver on that value proposition. So that's my story. I'm going to hear yours later. I want to be clear too as well on the success factors that are key. And it's important for every company to identify what are those success factors for your business. So generally, and I mean, every business is going to look a little bit different, but you're going to start with your revenue target. So where are your sources of revenue? What kind of volume are you looking at in terms of, how many customers, how often do they buy? What kind of money are they going to be able to commit? Those kinds of things. What's the right pricing? Are you offering something specialized? So your pricing needs to be higher. Are you offering something that's kind of, standard? In which case it's kind of like a commodity and you would need to price it very much in alignment with your competitors. Also, understanding your key customer drivers are very, very important. So what is important to them? What gets them, buying your product? And those are important things for you to measure in terms of determining whether or not a strategy is successful. What you can do when you're about to develop your strategy is set these out in the outset, what you think these success factors might be and what appropriate measures they might be. And then you can check and see how you're doing along the way. Our next session is on metrics, so I won't go into too much detail. I do want to mention too that I look at costs or expenses actually as investment or just some spending. So when I talk about investment or spending, I'm looking at capital investment. So if you're buying equipment, space, so on, or even leasing it, your cost of goods sold. So, what does it cost you to put your product out into the market? And then the overhead that's required to achieve your revenue targets as well. So to maintain your business, probably have some legal, accounting, those kinds of things. I like to make sure that I could see the rate of return on every single dollar that I spend. I don't look at it as a cost. I look at it as an investment. It's something that I need to do for the business. If you are looking at a cost line or even just something that you're spending money on, and you can't clearly identify where you are getting that rate of return, then you really need to consider whether or not you need to be spending that money. Now, of course, yeah, it's going to be hard to probably go, yeah, I really want to pay that accounting bill. But let's face it, we need to do that in order to keep our business going. So it is just important to be just, mindful, looking to see where maybe you're spending money where you don't need to be. So you want to make sure that every dollar you spend aligns with your business strategy and goals, and making sure that your cash flow is sufficient for operations and enables your business to achieve future growth. Cash flow is everything. I don't have to tell you this. You've all been in business for long enough. Profit isn't how you stay in business. Cash flow is how you stay in business. So it's important to be mindful of your cash flow as well as your profit. And they can be two different things depending on just some of the financing arrangements you might have, or if you have large capital investment. Just to remind you of the importance of cash flow. Again, we'll get into that more in the next session. Finally, there's non-financial success factors too. These are going to be related to things like maybe your customer satisfaction, employee engagement, health and safety, environmental stewardship, community initiatives, and so on. Businesses need to be more than about making money. I can't stress enough the importance of social license. Why people want to do business with you isn't just because you're profitable. It's because you're doing something for them. And so, keeping in mind the value that you bring, the why you're in business, and why customers want to work with you, why employees want to work for you, why communities want you to be there, why you are important steward of the environment and the larger society. Very, very key. And this is, a bigger reason why we get into business. And finally, and I can't stress this enough, your business should feel good to you. You run this thing. You are putting in your time, your effort, your heart and your soul, all of it to your business. And if it isn't aligned with your definition of success, it is not a successful business. So definitely take some time and think about, what does success look like to you? What does it feel like to you? Again, it's your business. Make your business work for you, not the other way around. And finally, don't forget about the risks. We are never going to get our crystal ball completely clear. So we always need to be mindful of what could be coming out of left field that could derail our value proposition. That's the question that you need to ask when you're talking about risk. What could stop us from achieving our value proposition? And in this case, you want to maybe start by brainstorming some of the potential risks. Don't apply any logic, just brainstorm, stream of consciousness. Because as soon as you start applying logic to it, you start to lose some of that objectiveness that you can have when you need to think big picture about your business. So you want to kind of think of all the realms of possibility. You want to think about it in the strategy side. You also want to think about it in the risk side. And then we want to identify which risks are key. So you've got your brainstorm list of risks, and then you want to go, okay, which ones are likely to happen, and which ones could have a big impact if they do. And if they have a large likelihood and a large impact, then those are the key risks that you need to make sure that you're managing in your business. So how might we overcome these risks? That's the next question you need to ask. And again, you want to go brainstorming. Think about all the possible ways that you could overcome these risks, your mitigation strategies. And then you want to choose the mitigation strategies that align with the level of risk that you've assigned to each of these key risks. So you want to try not to over mitigate, because that can get very costly. You also don't want to under mitigate, because that could expose you to a great deal of risk. Of course, we're not going to be able to mitigate high risks 100% all of the time. I mean, that's business, right? We are taking on risk. However, we want to try to be as mindful as possible about the potential risks for our business and put things in place so that we can make sure that we are prepared if those risks come to fruition. So again, if we've got some risk measurement and some mitigation strategies on our strategy map, it's also important to make sure that we include those in our budget. So, what is the cost of insurance for those key risks that you might have that are insurable? You know, do you have things in place if you lose a key employee? What does that look like? What happens if you have supply disruptions? All of these different things. So it's just good to have those in place and maybe set or have those risks in mind and then set up something there to be able to help you mitigate them. So now you have homework, and I'm going to send this to you so that you don't have to necessarily keep this on here. But it's just all the questions that we went through today in our presentation here. So starting off with getting clear on your current value proposition. Just a reminder, how is our business relevant to our customers? How are we unique to the marketplace? What makes us the right business to offer this product or service? And then we need to revisit our market and operating strategy. The questions you're going to answer here are: how have our target customers' needs changed? How have our competitors changed their business? And do we still have the capabilities to deliver on our product or service more efficiently than our competitors? And then finally, we want to redefine our value proposition and our operations. So we want to go back to what are those key capabilities that are required for our business to have the most impact on our customers' needs. And this is, again, looking at the new needs, if they've changed, if your customers' needs have changed, looking at that. How much should you invest, both in time and money, because time is money, compared to your competitors into those key capabilities? If you're able to get competitive information on how much they invest, then great. If not, can you just look at what more can you do? And next, what hard decisions do you need to make on spending allocations? Do you need to cut some things that are not getting you the rate of return that you're expecting? These are hard decisions. A lot of times we're emotionally attached, but they are important to make for the longevity of your business. Next, what are the key success factors or measures to your strategy, which we just talked about? And what are the potential risks and mitigation strategies for your plan? Okay, so I want you to answer those questions. And when we come together on the 10th, I want to go through those with you. I'd love to hear kind of what you've come up with regard to your value proposition and your operating strategy based on the answers to these questions. And if there's any ahas or any changes that you can come up with, that would be just fantastic. So that is all I have for this one. And again, I'm looking forward to discussing it with you. If you have any questions between now and when we're getting together, feel free to reach out to me. And otherwise, I will see you on the 10th. Thanks.